Sometimes at the strangest of times, a title or some lyrics will pop into your head, and when that happens, write that down, because when you have an idea of lyrics and you have some kind of unique melody that pops into your head, these are the beginning things that you need, the components to putting together a song. But there's one thing missing, one thing really important. It's this: a Gibson Gospel. In other words, your guitar. And I wrote out a lesson plan today. We're going to go over it. This may be the best thing I've done. I did a lot of videos on the shorts for this today, showing off the right hand. And we're also going to include the 5 best strumming patterns. So you're going to want to watch from beginning to end. Real quick, I have neglected to play this since I bought it, the Gibson Gospel. And I decided today it would have been really crazy to sell this. And ironically, it's the only guitar I have that I bought vintage that has 0 flaws, 0 cracks, 0. The pick guard isn't raised, the bridge hasn't been re-glued. So we're going to talk today about, at the core of it is something called patterns. Patterns appear everywhere. They appear on your fretboard, they appear in your day-to-day life. We're going to talk about the 5 patterns, and the most simple is just playing 4 strums to the bar, just 4 downstrokes, which I demonstrated. That's the most simple foundational thing. And let me know if you can hear me. But you can play along with so many of your favorite tunes just by strumming with that method. 4 downstrums on the beat. And that's the basics. Then you can experiment with throwing in an upstroke. Now, if you look at this here, this is the Gibson Gospel, the body of it here. Big old dreadnought, square shoulder. Doesn't sound like the J50, of course. It sounds like I guess it sounds like a 1990s Gibson Gospel. But what I meant to say was that when you're strumming, say I have a G chord, for example. When I'm going down, I'm focusing on the thicker strings. That's the main focus. It happens naturally that way. Always think about that. Look at my elbow. You can't see my elbow. Look at the inside of my elbow. But when you're doing the upstrokes, you're maybe hitting 1, 2, 3, and that's not your concern. You're not concerned about it. So the first method that I demonstrated via shorts was the 4 strums, and then I took it another level, started adding in the upstrokes. But there's a level that goes beyond that, which is something that you may have heard, and it's first of all, the way you hold the pick is going to affect your tone. And you want a loose, see, I'm using this credit card pick. I don't know why I always go to this. This was a store that helped me get all these instruments. Your approach to holding the pick has to be loose, because that's going to give you the tone that you want. It doesn't even matter if you drop it on the floor. And I was playing with that method, and it's not exactly always the same. It's, I don't know if the word's unorthodox. You might want to say it's not always super consistent, but then again, it is consistent with the music. So you're going to have to listen to that. I did plenty of demonstrations of that. I wish I wrote more detailed notes though. I just wrote like certain parts and I didn't really write anything underneath it. Let's see. Well, there is one we have to talk about though. I don't know if it's skipping ahead, but that would be the down, down, up, down, up idea. Oh, actually, no, we are skipping. We are. I knew what I wanted to say now. There's something else I demonstrated for you. It has to do with palm muting. And what I did was I held down the E minor chord. And I was trying to show you a close-up of the palm muting. Because it's a very hard thing to describe, but it's not a hard thing to do. Your hand's going to fall down naturally, this part here. It's going to fall down naturally. Now, there's varying degrees of palm muting. You could do full-on palm muting. You could do kind of halfway palm muting. You could do zero palm muting. Zero. And there's a lot of space in there for you to come up with your own ideas of how you want to approach that. But the point is that when you want to actually do the full palm muting, you're putting significant pressure on the strings and you're not leaving any room for the hand to come off. And halfway, you're only slightly dampening the strings. So what you heard me do was kind of a, you could call it a rock sound. It was more aggressive, and I was strumming in a more aggressive fashion. Because here's the thing, right? Here's a point to do with this title, is that there's many songs you've heard so many times that are your favorites that have these chords that keep reoccurring. But what they don't tell you on all these apps, like Chordify, for example, is what you do with your hand. They can't possibly tell you. So you have these chords that show up time and again. But what you do with your hand, you have to figure out. So you have to either seek out a lesson or become responsive to how to pick up on these patterns. This is how all the songwriters do this. So I'm assuming already you know how to play your G, E minor, your C, your D chord, chords like D7. You can get you down your C7. You can get your E, your E7, your A major, A7, your G7. And sometimes keeping it simpler is better. Even like those songs like Going Down Slow. Because if you're a talented musician or vocalist, you can do that 4 strums. And it'll be satisfying to the listener. If you have a good voice. Just, you can even talk lyrics. But in other words, you don't have to do that. You can approach it. The second way was that palm muting aggressive approach. The third approach would be that kind of going at will kind of strumming. And then there's the down, down, up, down, up, which will get you through a lot of songs. Now here's a tip before we even go forward, is slow down. There's no sense in doing this with sloppy chord changes. There's no sense in doing this where you're trying to strum before your left hand is caught up with what the right hand's doing. So go really, really slow. Now let's make we can go back to this background a minute while I make a little announcement. So in other words, a while back I titled this YouTube channel Harmonica and Guitar Progress. I sat on the bed and the name just came to me. I said, this is just this is the most straightforward name. It's not like a little cliche trying to be where you instantly get famous because you got this little, everyone instantly understands you because you got this little foolish name like, I don't know, Grapefruit 57. I don't know, anything stupid. That's like a gimmick. This name just came to me, and I don't care. You know that stupid prankster? I'm not even going to say his name, but there's this stupid prankster, and I clicked on one of his old videos on accident, saying my comment from like years ago was at the top with 0 likes on it. And I just realized just how foolish this whole thing is. But I named this channel Harmonica and Guitar Progress, right? And if you have any questions about what I'm saying, you can comment below. I don't get a whole hell of a lot of comments, so I can read them and I can see them. You know, I believe I get all the notification and I do reply to them. That string video has quite a few comments on it. And I was just telling someone today, I believe that is the definitive video on strings. I also wanted to talk about a common mistake with this. That's something I wrote out here. A mistake that happens often. Fortunately, I can't remember what that is. A mistake, common mistake. This one thing about the Gibson Gospel, when you move it around for whatever reason, it makes a ton of noise on my leg. I'm just wearing regular sweatpants cut into short. They were bought this way, Converse shorts. Nothing unusual in a long sleeve shirt. But this thing makes loads of noise no matter what you're wearing. I can't remember what the mistake was. You trying to go too fast? No, it's not going to. Let me see what's the last thing. Well, I did not leave myself clear instructions. I might have to close out of this to make it concise. We could call it a part 1. We could actually just call this part 1 because this is a pretty deep topic, and there's plenty of videos that are part 1. So, but I don't think we talked about all of them. There's one we definitely didn't talk about the last one though. So I'm going to tell you what the last one is. Stick around for that. Well, let's recap so far. The first one was just the 4 down strums. Right? Occasionally incorporating the upstroke to make things a little bit more interesting, because even when you're doing straightforward strumming, you need just a little something to add some life to it, and that would be the upstrokes. And then the second one, let's see, the second one is the palm muting, aggressive strumming with varying degrees of palm muting. That's up to you. The third would be you might want to call it folk style, where you're letting let's go back to this hand, where you're letting this hand move freely within your hands and moving in time, but it's not really in a set pattern, so to speak. And I demonstrated that. And then after that would be the more routine down, down, up, up, down, up. We want to talk about that. Let's play the open strings. That would be down, down, up. You notice that was a ghost strum in between. Six. That would be way too over the top. I'm talking about the upstroke now. But I think that was a mistake. Actually, I knew I would remember it. A lot of people, when they're doing that upstroke with the ghost strum in between, that's very strange for beginners. So that is the mistake. That's pretty good that I remember. And the last strum, since I said I would give you the 5, was I did the video on this. So you're going to have to look that up, is how to play like Johnny Cash. I did the video on that, so I'm not going to recap that here. I could never even play it as good as I did in that video. And that one should have more views on it. So look up that. I did part 1 and 2, and I may have done 4 of them on that. But that is number 5, Johnny Cash. And I wanted to make sure to include that. I don't know why the last thing I wrote here was which strum. I don't know what that means. We hit on all the other points though. So like I said, if the lyrics hit you, if a melody hits you, then there's one thing that's missing. Could be a Gibson Gospel. Close up on the Gospel. You should see the back of the neck on this thing. See, somebody really played this thing. I don't know if I want to show you the serial number, but it's all, I don't know if it hurts anything. You can see that, it's hard to make it out anyways. Well, we gotta close out. This will be part 1.